The 22nd of February, 1877, Meiji era, 10th year, marks the beginning of the final civil war between the southern forces of Japan, known as the Seinan War, or the Southwestern War. Warriors from the Kagoshima Shizoku, former samurai warrior families, rebelled against the government and waged war for 7 months in the southern part of Kyushu, taking the lives of over 14,000 young soldiers. In the early Meiji era, a number of peasant and samurai revolts arose due to the creation of several unpopular policies, such as tax increases and the abolition of privileged samurai classes as part of the creation of new national policies. The result was the commencement of the Seinan War. Students of Kagoshima's private academy, the Shigakko, supported the rise of Saigo Takamori, one of the leaders of the rebellion. They began to gather around Kumamoto Castle, the site of several military facilities called Kumamoto Chindai, owned by the government. To counter this, Imperial Army troops were deployed from all over the country. They first clashed in the Johoku area of Ueki and in Gyokto. The Battle of Tabaruzaka was the hardest battle fought in the Seinan War. At the Battle of Tabaruzaka, 3 places became the harshest battlefields. First, Tabaruzaka. Tabaruzaka slope is found about 80 meters above the arched bridge of Toyooka. There are 3 slopes, Ichinosaka, Ninosaka, and Sanosaka, joining a path that leads through the 3 peaks of the Gyokto area, with a winding road 1,160 meters long. This road was the only one wide enough to allow the passage of cannon, and no one could proceed to Kumamoto Castle without using the pass. It was also a lifeline for the Satsuma troops, and this seemingly ordinary slope was the staging point for the biggest battle of the entire Seinan War, for 17 days and nights. This shrine is called Kumanoza Jinja in Tabaru, referring to the record at the beginning of March in the Meiji 10th year. This place became the base for the Satsuma army. It is said that there was a fierce battle against the government forces here. It is believed that the shrine was rebuilt after the war. One piece of evidence is the bullet remains inside this timber. As you see, there is a hole behind this bullet. That means the bullet struck from behind and stopped here. You can see the bullet from the surface. It is thought that many bullets hit trees inside the shrine grounds, and people used those trees to rebuild the shrine. Currently, about 300 bullet traces have been found. This is probably the remains of a bullet strike from the battle. Many gun cartridges were found in 2 places in the excavation survey, one to the south and one to the north. By looking through past records, the Satsuma army made a base this side, and the government army attacked from the north. These cartridges are the evidence that bullets flew between the 2 armies here. The average amount of ammunition used by the government army at the battle, which continued for 17 days at Tabaruzaka, was about 320,000 rounds per day. On the battlefield, a tremendous number of bullets flew, and the traces left behind in the walls of restored houses tell the story of the horror of the battle. Kichiji Pass, also referred to as Hell Pass. There was a terrible battle between the armies approaching Kumamoto City there, where more than 100,000 bullets were fired in a day. Kichiji Pass is located on a ridge stretching between the third peak of Mount Kimpo and Mount Hanko. It was an important route that connects Kumamoto Castle to Tamana's Takase area and became a fierce battleground. Thousands of rifle bullets and shells have been discovered during excavations, demonstrating the scale and intensity of the battle. Another fierce battleground was the battlefield of Mount Yokohira. It is a small mountain that stands 144 meters high at the southern end of the Futamata Plateau in Gyokto town. This mountain was the site of the government army's temporary headquarters and the gun batteries, and was a fiercely contested spot, as it occupied the road to Kitome in Ueki, which leads to Saigo Takamori's headquarters. The battle at Mount Yokohira was a brutal fight involving both government troops and armed police. It has been speculated that the Satsuma army fought with newly obtained munitions, as the remains of breech-load cartridges have recently been unearthed here. We also know about the presence of the police Ford's sword corps that was dispatched to counter the Satsuma troops, thanks to sword guards and other pieces found on the site. Recent excavations have discovered a large number of remains of the battle, and attempts are being made to archaeologically verify the battle's progression. One of the ruins is the remains of a gun battery in the Futamata area of Gyokto town. It was a mounting platform for a cannon on the Futamata Plateau that looks across the valley to counter the Satsuma army at Tabaruzaka. In the survey of the area, ignition primers used when firing cannons, sometimes called friction tubes, were found in the Uryuda and Koga areas. At Uryuda, markings of where the cannon was deployed and evidence of cannon fire were confirmed. In the Seinan War, it is said that about 14,000 people lost their lives. In the Battle of Tabaruzaka, 1,700 government troops lost their lives. There is no obvious record, but it is believed that the Satsuma side may have lost similar numbers through the war. That means 25% of the soldiers died at the Battle of Tabaruzaka. This fact demonstrates the intensity of the battles at Tabaruzaka. This is the Takatsuki Military Cemetery in Gyokto town. This is the largest burial ground left in the military today, with 980 bodies interred inside. The war dead buried here are mainly from the battles at Tabaruzaka, Kichiji Pass, and Mount Yokohira. In addition, several graveyards were made. Usaura Government Cemetery, in which 399 officers from government forces and police who joined the government forces are buried, as well as Nanamoto Government Cemetery. On the other hand, the dead from the Satsuma army were not formally buried because they were treated as bandits at the time, so they were buried on the side of the road. Many remains have been returned to their families in Kagoshima, but there are some who remain buried generously by local people, such as those in the Nanamoto Satsuma Army Cemetery in Ueki town, and the tombs of 3 samurai warriors in Gyokto town, still being maintained locally. This is Shonenji Temple in the Konoha area of Gyokto town. Bullets fired from both armies remain embedded in the gates. It was also used as an infirmary for government troops, and many casualties were carried here during the Battle of Tabaruzaka. It seems that many who didn't survive the battle were buried within the grounds. The sheer number of casualties caused heartache to not only locals, but to many people across Japan. Tsunetami Sano, a senior statesman and senator who studied about the International Red Cross organization in Europe, became concerned with the battles at Tabaruzaka and founded the Philanthropic Society, or the Hakuraisha, incorporating the ideals of the Red Cross, which treats everyone, regardless of alliance, and began relief efforts in the area. The Hakuraisha later became Japan's official Red Cross Society, whose philosophy and activities are still alive today. On the other hand, an ex-doctor for the Hosokawa clan, Hasse Hatono Soha and others, tried to treat injuries from both armies, regardless of their allegiance. Modern humanitarianism emerged from the battles of this tragic war. In Ueki, North Ward, Kumamoto City, and Gyoto Town, Tamano District, we strive to preserve and utilize the historic sites of the Seinan War that remain across the area. In addition, through research and study of the ruins, we hope that we can inspire people to think about the last war within the nation, the truth of the Seinan War, and the basis for modernization. We wish to preserve this knowledge for future generations.